Start. Thanks so much. Good day, everyone. Welcome to ACDT number 55. Today's September 29. We have a lot of items in the agenda today. I'm going to share the link to the issue so we can follow along. This is the one. And we can start with Fusaka. And the first item in the agenda is Devnet-3. As far as I know, we have Devnet-3 running and we don't no longer have Devnet-5 running. So do we have anyone from EPANOps to give an update on Devnet-3? I see there's no finalization as I can see right now. Is this expected? Is PK in the or Barnabas in the call?
I think Barnabas is not here yet, but yeah, we've just figured a new unfinality test on Devnet-3. So that chain split and the unfinality is kind of expected for now.
Thank you. Do you have more context on this? Do you know how much is this test gonna last? Or is there any action items for client teams to take care of on this or?
As far as I know, the unfinality test was requested by some clients. It will probably last for 1 or 2 days, and then we'll deploy the proper clients again and see if they can recover properly.
Excellent, thank you. Let me see. All right. Cool. Is there any updates from clients regarding Devnet-3? Any findings that want to be shared on this call, either ELs or CLs? Who want to chime in on this Devnet? All right. Yeah, okay. Since no updates, I think we can move along. Good. Yeah, and the next topic is there was the announcement, the blog post, I mean, regarding Fusaka. So we now have the schedule and activation times for Holešky, Sepolia, and Huli, with Holešky happening this Wednesday. I think all of the release versions are now up in the blog post. Yes, Barry. Yeah, we just finished that. Do you want to update something on the devnets?
Yeah, I'm not sure what updates were already mentioned, but we have Holesky Shadow Fork up as of like half an hour-ish. The network seems to be finalizing. We're discussing with the Aragon team why the node's not able to keep up, but it was able to do the shadow fork. So it's likely more peering related than anything else. And Besu's building blocks, but it's building it without transaction inclusion. So they've also been informed and would be great if they can have a look.
And we have also submitted some pop-up transactions and exits.
Exactly. So we should have all the queues full at the time of the transition, which was able to catch a few bugs in the last week. And the transition should happen in like the next half an hour, I think.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Should we jump into Mainnet shell fork now?
We're gonna be doing other test and shadow forks before we do mainnet shadow fork. I think we're gonna be waiting for the mainnet releases before we do mainnet shadow fork. That's gonna be at least a month away.
Yeah, our
Excellent.
plan is to use the latest releases from all the clients to do the shadow fork for the immediate next testnet, try and catch all the bugs that we can. And the other line of testing is that Devnet-3 is still up and running, and Barnabas triggered non-finality today. So we let it non-finalizing for about 2 days before joining it back so that we can make sure that the releases are also able to recover. And parallelly sync tests are also running.
Excellent. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, it makes sense to delay mainnet shadow forks until we have like the releases for mainnet. All right, cool. Going back to the activations, we have Holešky on Wednesday, and I wanted to touch upon the topic of client releases. Is there any updates on client releases so far? Please check the blog post to see if the client version that is pointed out in the blog post is up to date. If not, is there any update from any of the clients? Are we ready for Wednesday?
I think for Lighthouse, it wasn't listed earlier. We just had a release today. So I think the blog post can be updated with the specific thing. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, we already have it. It is waiting to be approved.
Okay. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Any other updates from clients regarding Holešky support on the releases? Cool. If not, I think we should be ready, and we can discuss the transition on next ACDC on Thursday after it happens on Wednesday. The BPO activation happens next week, so we'll have ACDT to discuss first the transition into Fusaka on Holešky, and then the BPO if there's anything that we need to fix before it happens next Tuesday. All right. Cool. Yeah. And next thing, we have a couple of topics on execution client testing on the EEST side. There's a new release, version 5.2, which is basically just small updates to the exception mapping. So there's nothing from the client side to do as far as I know. And we have 5.3 version of EEST, which is pending, and we will update the blog schedule. And with that update, we're gonna also verify the client testnet configuration via if_config, and we're gonna use the execute config application in EEST to verify the releases. If we find anything, we're gonna ping the clients to see if there's any fix that needs to be done from your side. All right. Let me see what's next. Shadow fork we already discussed. Anything else on shadow forks that I might have missed, or anyone wants to chime in? But I guess there's not much to discuss since Holešky is not since shadow fork has not yet activated Fusaka. We can discuss that on the next call, I guess. And the last topic regarding Fusaka is the Sherlock Fusaka audit contest. I think it's still ongoing. Is there anyone here that wants to give an update to this?
I can just say that it's going well, and there's 2 more weeks left in the competition.
Thank you. All right. All right, that's everything for Fusaka. Anything that I missed that we need to discuss today regarding Fusaka? Anything that anyone wants to bring up? Important findings or anything related to client box? Frederick, would you like to expand on this?
Oh yeah, sorry. I think yeah, we already have a Fusaka directory in the PM repo, but we should make sure that we add the relevant files for the as what Harry listed out to do basically, and we should do that as we have done for Pectra, for example. Basically create the plans for the different testnets and mainnet so that we follow the process that's been set up so that we don't miss any specific steps in testing and yeah, other aspects. I think Tim used to do that, but since he's away, someone should probably take up that torch.
I actually see a folder created in Ethereum/PM. It is for Fusaka. Maybe we would want to move all the related files in this folder.
Yeah, it's just PRDAS readiness checklist in there right now, and then we should.
Yeah, we can have all the PRs to move all related files in this folder, and then we will add it to the network upgrade folder.
Yeah.
Who wants to take on this this task? Since Tim is out of the office.
So, I would recommend here that we add all the related files in Fusaka folder. And once that is done, we can move the Fusaka folder to network upgrade folder archive, which is right now. We can update it right over there. But first, let's move all. So anyone with related information, make a PR. And I believe Nixo will be in a position to merge all the PR. Yeah, Stokes as well.
Excellent thing. And Alex pointed out that he can start the PR for this. Thank you. All right, let's see. All right, anything else related to Fusaka, or should we move on to the next topic? Cool. All right. So next topic is gas limit testing updates. And the first subtopic is the mainnet 60 million gas activation in the Fusaka releases. Any comments on this regarding clients? I'm out of context here regarding whether the clients added or not the 60 million gas limit. So if anyone can chime in to comment on this. Any of the clients, I mean. The client mentions that GET is ready for 60 million and is in the release, I presume. Andrew, sorry, yes.
So yeah, I have a question. Do we want it to be included into the testnet Fusaka release or in the mainnet Fusaka release?
So testnets are already at 60 million, so it shouldn't really matter if it's included in the testnet release. I think the main intent is that it is included before the mainnet release.
Okay.
Any other clients? I see Nethermind.
Yeah, I can chime in here. So we have a PR with 60 for Nethermind. From a testing perspective, I know that Geff have a fixes to make sure that 60 is working well. That's also improved quite a lot. I get back after a longer break right now and still analyzing the data. And the outstanding thing from testing perspective is still SEM testing, which I'm discussing right now with Jochem and the team. So hopefully this week we'll be able to test it and give some extra input on that. Yeah, from Nethermind perspective, we have a PR which will include on mainnet release.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, and we have a topic for discussion today on compute and state benchmarking, so we can dig deeper in that section. Any other clients? I see Besu in the call. Do you guys have 60 million gas enabled in the testnet releases for mainnet?
Yeah, so it is not on the testnet release, but yeah, it will be on mainnet for sure. For the mainnet release, I mean.
Perfect. Thanks. Any other clients? Let's see. Is Red here? Is anyone from Red in the call?
Yeah, ref is ready.
Excellent. Is it in the release already?
Yes, I can send it in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Who am I missing? I don't think any other clients are here. Cool. Excellent. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and there's just another bullet point on this is we have a proposal in the EEST repository to update the directory structure that we have for benchmarking. I think we can discuss, but maybe it's out of topic for this call, but just for everyone's reference, we currently have benchmark tests in the EEST repository, and they're now are going to be divided in 2 sections, and we can discuss those sections in a bit. But basically, the compute is one section, which is basically a state, a small state competition, and then the state which includes a bigger state for for more intensive state testing. And please follow the link, and you can see how we're going to restructure this. It's very simple. But yeah, with that said, I think we can jump into compute intensive benchmarking. We're gonna there's just one subtopic, so please, if anyone else wants to raise another topic, another discussion topic for this, please raise a hand. But yeah, the only topic for discussion is that we're gonna have an update on the on EEST to update the format, the testing format for the benchmark tests. I don't think there's anything to be done from client side on this. It's just basically a better way of writing tests, as far as I know. So yeah, there's no action item from clients. So it basically is going to produce the same blockchain test and the same state tests that we have already produced. So no changes in the conception of these tests. It's just a matter of like just making it easier to write the benchmarking tests. Let's see. Luis, yeah, if you want to chime in just on this PR, just please feel free to. If not, we can continue. Yeah, and the next topic is the state benchmarking. I think Jochem is prepared for to give an update on this. So yeah, Jochem, just feel free to jump in.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think I am bringing this topic up every week, so that's very nice. So again, we want to create state-intensive benchmarks, and this is like these are kinds of new tests, which we don't really have the tooling for yet to run these tests. And what we want to do is we want to run tests against clients with like a large state, for instance, mainnet state. And then we want to see and to think about what are like the worst case situations here which can happen. I'm working with Camille from Nevermind on this tooling to run these tests. And of course, if we want to run tests, we also need to have the situations which we run on. Obviously, Xen is a candidate for this because the Xen contract has a very large storage. And what I would like clients to think a bit about is what is actually the worst case situation in your client. So we are thinking about state, and we could say, okay, maybe deleting state is the worst case situation, or updating state is the worst case situation, or writing new storage slots is the worst case situation. That I think completely has to do with the implementation and the optimizations which a client does, which I have no idea for at this moment. Or maybe there are even more exotic situations where, well, a client might have optimized something very well, but now has a very specific area where the behavior is now very, well, bad. And of course, we need tests for this. So if you have like a very specific situation where you would like your client to get a benchmark for, then please let me know. I can write these tests. I will love to write these tests. And yeah, we would really want that we have these tests because we want to update the gas limit. We want to increase this on mainnet. That's fine. But we don't really have eyes yet on like these worst case situations for the state. And we can, so we are writing this tooling now to run these tests. And I think that will be done very soon. And then we can use these to actually perform these tests in an isolated environment. So we can know beforehand what like the areas of optimizations for clients are. So if someone has like an idea for extra tests or other situations, then please let me know. But yeah, let me know that the state benchmarks are coming very soon. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Is there anything from the EEST side? How are we approaching the testing of this? I'm curious about how
Yes.
I mean, to paraphrase my question, I think, are we including the big state on EEST, or how is the big state gonna be included in the tests? That's my main question.
This is a very good question. So the test itself is so specifically this XEN test, but likely also every other test for these state benchmarks, they will be written in EEST. And what you will do is you will use the address stub to target a specific network. So for instance, like Mainnet, then you would use the XEN contract for your XEN tests. And what you would then do, and this is why we need this extra tooling. So you can obviously not put the entire pre-state into the pre-state files of EEST. So what you will then do is you will spin up a node. And the current tooling what we are using is we have basically a CL mock, which drives the chain to run these tests on, and this generates the payloads for the client to run. And then to actually run this test, we replay these payloads on top of other clients, and then we see how they perform. And these other clients, they all run from the same snapshot. So you basically you stall the chain, you use this snapshot, and then on top of this snapshot, you run the payloads generated by these EEST tests.
Got it. The tooling that you mentioned that you're missing, is that on the EEST side or on the client side?
This is actually, well, basically a third-party tool currently. So this is tooling that's currently, this tooling is currently my own custom tooling, but Nethermind's gas benchmarks repository is, I think, the repository which will include this thing. But personally, I would say that this is also something which we would likely want in EEST as well.
I would actually see if we can have it as a fully independent tool with a way to hook it into EEST as well as another Nethermind tool, because I can also imagine the mock CL ability is something we can use elsewhere, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, okay, maybe as a standalone tool that would actually be maybe a bit more logical. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so
yes, Camille?
how I was seeing that in the beginning is like EEST is having the definitions of the tests, and it can contain definitions for tests which are specific for the chains. Like Jochem is right for XEN on mainnet. We can have specific tests for bloatnet. We can have specific tests for any testnets if you would like to. And then we have the side tooling, which for now probably will be gas benchmarks, which will be responsible for generating the payloads. Here we are using some custom version of Nethermind, which will be generating the payloads on top of that state. And then also, like what gas benchmarks actually have right now is the execution of those tests using some VMs which are having backups of all of the clients ready just to be mounted. Tests will be executed, and the state will be afterwards reverted to the initial state. So like the separate tool, but EEST will always have all of the definitions of those tests. Long term, we can see if we can integrate that to EEST, but probably as Pari mentions, is like it's better to have the execution part being outside for that, because this is quite heavy and not really like not big, very useful for EEST to have it. Rather, EEST to be a repository of tests for that.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. All right. Any questions on this topic for Jochem from clients, I mean, primarily?
Yeah, so I have a question. Like when you say snapshots, what do you mean by snapshots?
So a snapshot will be any, I'm specifically meaning if panel ops snapshots, but this is basically like, I think panel ops at yeah, thank you, Perry. Like every 10,000 blocks on mainnet and also on testnets, I think it's every 10,000 blocks or maybe 100,000 blocks, they release this snapshot. So you can directly download this snapshot and use that as your, well, basically your state database to run these tests on.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Excellent. Messian?
Yeah, I have a quick question related to these tests. How close are they from the transactions that we see on mainnet? Because, for example, when I look to the comment, I see 7,700 as a store and 8 as load. And on Besu side, if I remember correctly, when we were looking into it, like the biggest bottleneck was actually S load, even like on the Xen contract transactions, and which could be weird, like when at like first place when we know that like there are more SS store than S loads, but the thing is that we found that most of the S load were actually zero reads. So basically slots that don't exist in the state. So I was wondering, how is this something that you already have in the tests or not?
Yes, okay, very good question. So I think what you meant is that you specifically were looking at replaying mainnet transactions, so replaying the mainnet situation. Well, this is doing basically that, but even worse. And what I mean with worse is that on mainnet, what you see for the Xen situation is that tokens are being minted, and this has some extra computational overhead in the contract itself. So it does like some extra logic. What I'm trying to do is I want to write using the existing Xen contract as much storage to the Xen contract as possible. And one of the ways to do this, and I'm not sure if this is actually the worst case situation, but this is likely, well, bad enough, is to call the approve function. So what you do there is you can approve like another address to spend your tokens, even if you don't have any tokens yourself. So for this situation, like on the mainnet transactions, you will see like less S stores and maybe more S loads. The tests which you saw in the comment is specifically looking only at S stores. So that's why you see like only 8 S loads. I will, of course, also implement a test which focuses on the S loads, because this could, of course, also be a bottleneck. So these specific tests are only looking at the S store. But this tries to squeeze out as much S stores as possible on Xen, and I will do the same for S load. So yeah, this is basically a more worse situation than the things we have seen on mainnet yet. And of course, this is with the side note that I am running these tests on an isolated node. So they are not running like any networking or whatever. So that's more optimal. But in terms of execution itself, this should, well, in practice, it can happen, but likely no one wants to spend their money on this. So this might be like a very good approximation of the worst case situation for S-Store on mainnet.
Thanks.
And of course, if you have like any other ideas for these kind of benchmarks, like please let me know. Or if you see something weird, please reach out, because I might either do something like super dumb, or there is like a very good explanation for it. So please reach out if you have any cool ideas on how to make these situations even worse.
Thank you. There's a great question from Maria on the chat, whether this is only seen on the Xen contract or if there's any smaller contracts. I assume in mainnet maybe that exhibit the same behavior. Do you know if that's the case for other contracts?
I think a client team should chime in on this. But I think all clients use like some kind of, well, for the Snap protocol, you have like a 01 lookup time for S-load. So I think it does not matter if you have like a very big contract or a very small contract. But of course, this also depends on the implementation and the optimizations.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
So exactly what Jochem said. The only thing that can be different is if you are loading something that is cached somewhere, or if you're loading something that is non-existent, or if you're loading like existing data. Those are the three different things, but it's not really dependent on the size of the contract where you're loading from.
And there's another question. So for Besu, are there any changes in optimization that may make this different from other clients? Do you have someone from Besu that could chime in?
I mean, it depends on the question. For example, we had a few discussions during the interop with some folks from Reth. So, for example, Reth, if I remember correctly, the bottleneck was on the hash calculation, like the root hash calculation. So on our side, we preload the storage slots on the like during transaction execution. So like each time we touch one slot key, we preload all like the branch nodes to, so then we can speed up the root hash calculation. Yeah, so that's the main, I think the main optimization on the root hash side. But I don't know if the question is related to something else. But for example, for the the S load performance on zero reads, so this is something we already aware of. So there is one small limitation on the RocksDB side. So there is a bug in RocksDB that so basically, which is basically triggering an issue, like an exception when there is a zero read instead of just returning whatever, so there is a PR that is pending, but it is not merged yet. Yeah. So apart from that, yeah, that's all actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to expand on this, we also have a problem with non-existent reads. Well, it's not a problem, but it's like whenever we do read, when we read something that is non-existent, we need to go through all of the in-memory diff layers and then go to the disk layer, which is a lot of work for reading something that is non-existent. So actually, like the existent read is quite a bit faster than a non-existent read for us.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and just to echo Jochem's, if there's any particular interesting ideas that you want for him to write a test for, I think it would be very good if you guys can reach out. I think this particular scenario that you're mentioning, Marius, I think it would be very nice for us to also have a compute test. Maybe there's something that we can do on the compute side for that, for empty S loads, I mean. Cool. All right. Anything else? Any other question for Jochem or on this topic that we want to raise?
Yeah, I just want to note as a final point that, as you mentioned, it would be very nice if people could reach out like this kind of situation I would like to see tested. But my goal is also for myself to go into these clients, to all of the clients, to see what is being optimized and what is not being optimized. and to see there, okay, what's like the worst case situation that, well, how can we abuse this optimization, or how can we not abuse it? But it would be really helpful if I could have some help on that, because it's of course much harder to figure out the code on yourself instead of talking to someone who wrote this code. Yeah.
There's also a nice point by Ben if we could change SS store to not check the current value for pricing. So just to paraphrase that, we would need an EIP for that, right? Just to basically not having the current value to be a precondition to calculate the gas pricing for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben?
So obviously the reason it does check the current price is so it can correctly add additional cost for state growth. But it's also the most expensive part of S-Store is that searching for the current value. And that's where usually checking for a value that doesn't exist comes from.
Thank you. Cool. One last comment from C. Perez. All of the case, he posted a link. I assume this is a list. Yes, this is a list of test cases that will eventually make it into EEST. Just for everyone to go over this list, because this is something that we are already working on. So if your test case is not in this list, please chime in on make a comment. I guess that would be the best approach. Make a comment into the list so we can add a test, a scenario that will eventually make it into EEST. Yeah. All right. Thanks. If nothing else on this topic, we can jump into Glamsterdam. So the first agenda item is that we have a new consensus specs release that happened last Thursday, version 1.6 Vita 0. So Justin, do you have anything else to add to this?
Not really. I mean, yeah, there's a new release, EPBS. Devnet-0 will be based off of this as well.
All right, thanks. Just for clients to be aware, just to consume the tests, I assume. Yep. So yeah, and jumping into specifics. So we have block level access list and EPBS for Glamsterdam. So we can jump into block level access list first, and then into EPBS if there's any topics. So I see the first comment or first bullet point, sorry, is from Rahul. Let me see if he's in this call. Let me see.
I'm here.
Oh yeah, sorry. There you go. Yeah, can you chime in on the block level access list? Any updates that you want to share?
Sure. In our last release for block level access list, that was version 1, we focused on simple happy path test scenarios for block access list. And since then, we've been working on some complex test cases. And throughout our testing, what we found is the intersection of block access list and some existing EIPs such as 7702 is quite nuanced. For instance, when you create a 7702 delegation, the target account need not be read from the state for the delegation to be created. This is because the target account can be read from the address directly. So we clarified this in the EIP and added a negative test case to ensure that clients do not perform a state read for the target account when creating a delegation. We also needed to address some system operations like self-destruct and precompiles, which required some further clarification. Those also have been updated in the IP now. And throughout this month, we fixed several bugs within the execution specs, and the IP has been refined to some extent to cover all our learnings and edge cases that we've discovered in the past month. We now have close to 30 test cases that's currently under review, and we should expect a release soon, PM. Also, we'd like to proactively run test cases for clients. So if you're a client and have not shared a dev branch with us, please do so. This will ensure that we release a polished version of test. And finally, if you're a client dev that's new to testing or have any questions, feel free to reach out. Be happy to help you get started.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, just to echo that, please reach out to Raul or Felipe so they can either point you to the latest block level access list release in EEST, or they can help you out to run the tests for you if you provide the branch to do so. Cool. Any questions on block level access lists and specifics from clients, especially?
Not from a client, but let me just add one thing. We had the block level access list breakout call on Wednesday, and we discussed one important topic that might affect more people than just those that were at the call. So it's about, do we want to do a block level access list hash versus a block level access list root? I won't rehash the whole discussion here, so please check out the Discord. I have summarized the discussion if you scroll up a bit, or you can also rewatch the breakout call. But this is definitely something, it's a small change, it's still open. So right now it's a block level access list hash, but it might make sense to move towards a block level access list root. The change would be rather small, but still, if we really want to go for that, we should decide, as early as possible. So please, if you have an opinion on that, reach out, join the call, or voice your opinion on Discord. And there's also a ETH research post by Jason about block level access list X preconf that also highlights why a root might be beneficial for some use cases.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tony. Just to surface one comment from the chat. Karim mentions that there's a message in Discord that there's a missing test for Besu that is related to block level access list that we should check. So thank you for that. Make sure that we can check that. Cool. And the other we also have a link from ETH here. Let me share in the chat. Similar things. We have a Devnet slate for the end of October. And I think we are missing the client branches in this case too. Cool. So yeah, on deeper topic of EPBS, is there anything any client wants to share on this, or do we have like more context from someone that can share? That can be shared here. Sorry, about EPBS.
I can probably just talk more. I mean, I know clients are working on implementing everything for the first DevNet. We'll know more in 2 weeks whether or not DevNet 0 can be launched at the end of October. Clients should provide an EPBS DevNet 0 branch for ETH Panda ops to test with. There are some testing things that we need to figure out, and Katya asked if there are any metrics needed for EPBS. I don't know. That's pretty much it. I mean, we're just working on implementing everything.
All right, thank you. Makes sense. Yeah, if there's anyone else that knows a little bit more about, I mean, if probably there's no one right now, but just try to keep an eye on metrics. I think that's a very interesting topic that we need to resurface at some point. Thank you, Katya, for the question. Cool. Any opinions or anything that wants to be shared from clients regarding EPVS? If not, that's okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was the last topic in the agenda for today. Is there anything that we missed that has to be discussed today? Please raise your hand now before we end the call. If not, I think that's it for today. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, let's see. Hope that the activation in Holešky goes smoothly this Wednesday, and we can discuss it on the ACDC on Thursday. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.